Hi everyone. We're gonna start in a few minutes. The name of this series is Philly's Future Fashion Phenomena, and it will discuss various up and coming fashion professionals. And the first few episodes will be like a couple upcoming designers that came from the Made Institute, which is a fashion school in Philadelphia. The fashion school, Made Institute, offers kind of a less traditional route to getting a fashion education. It involves getting a certification. And our first guest will be Isaiah Bryen, and he will discuss his first collection. And he had the chance of showing in Philly Fashion Week. And please excuse me, this is my first live. I've been been testing it out, but a little trial and error. Let's see, what time is it getting to be? If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them. We will have 2 more live streams coming up, and the second one will be someone named Nicole Ryan, and then we will have another one next week, and I will post more information about that one. The second one is also today at 4 p.m. And this is also another student from the Made Institute. If you haven't seen my other content, I have posted a introduction video to what Philly's Fashion Phenomena is, and to briefly summarize, it's a blog that aims to bring more exposure to Philadelphia's fashion industry. And recently, through social media, we have gone on to continue into other content, including GIFs and memes and a formal video. And this is our next endeavor, which is venturing into live streaming. I know that in the future there's going to be a podcast as well. And we'll see how everything goes. And I plan to highlight more designers, stylists, and other fashion professionals in Philly along the way. About the future of Philly's fashion phenomena, and you want to make suggestions, feel free to reach out to me. We have a variety of social media accounts, and after the live, I will provide information about those accounts and the ways that you can contact me. Anyway, I'm going to bring in Isaiah.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Happy holidays.
You too. I hope all was well.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to turn my sound up. It seems like it's kind of low. Yeah, there we go. Now I can hear you.
All right, cool.
Sorry for all the technical experimentation here. I'm
No
not
problem.
used to doing live streams.
No problem.
Let's see. I'm just glad I finally figured out how to invite people, because before
Yeah.
it wasn't working. I wanted to ask you a series of questions about your collection and your inspiration as a designer. So,
Yes.
if you want to introduce yourself, feel free to start us off with that.
Yep. So I am Isaiah Bryen. My brand is Mylo Blú, and I'm 21 years old. I graduated from Made Institute this year, and I get a lot of my inspiration from the traveling that I've done in my life. I can't really say one place that I'm from because I've moved around from the West Coast and California and Hawaii to the South and Florida, and then also to the East Coast and Philly and New York and New Jersey. So I've definitely been all around the country over the years, and that's a big piece in my clothes that I'm able to express.
That's awesome because you have like such an eclectic group of sources to find inspiration. It's great that you've been to so many different places. I'm actually from New Jersey, and I'm going to be moving to Philly.
Okay. Yep.
Let's see, and I can only imagine. You said Hawaii. You were there.
Yep. That's where I was born. So that's where I started out.
Wow, that's an awesome place to be born.
Yeah.
Can
very true.
Sorry, can imagine it's gorgeous.
Yes, it is.
Let's see. Now, the first thing I want to ask is if your collection had a name in particular.
So this actually collection did not have a name. It's kind of like, you know how like the first episode of a TV series is like the pilot episode. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I thought of. Is just like show the world I am designing clothes, and I already have a follow-up collection that I'm planning right now, and that is themed, and it's actually called A Letter to Mylo Blú. So this first collection was just like Mylo Blú, period, and then now for the next one I'll go deeper into who Mylo Blú is, why, and what I'm in detail trying to communicate with my clothes.
It's awesome. So was the like overall theme of your collection just kind of establishing your brand's identity, kind of like the first introduction of it?
Yeah, yep, basically, and I would say actually the theme would be like masculine elegance. So a lot of people think of women when they think of something elegant, but through menswear, I think it's very appropriate in the time that we're in to be able to put out clothes for men that can connect with the feminine side, but not a female like clothing piece. It's more of just like a more attention to the silhouette and the art that goes into menswear that has been kind of in the shadows over the last few years.
For sure. I do feel like menswear doesn't always get the credit it deserves and the attention.
Yeah, definitely. It's a female-dominated industry, and there's a lot of demand for men to express themselves in ways that women usually have the option to, with the huge market of women's wear that is in the world. So I want to be able to give menswear the same options that women have of silhouettes and artistic implementation and all types of things that have been not really focused on for men for a long time.
For sure. What in particular, is there any specific areas that you drew inspiration for this collection?
Yeah, so I drew inspiration from Philly for one particular look. A very popular kind of staple outfit in Philly is the khaki suit. which is the khaki shirt with the matching khaki pants. And yeah, that's basically an essential for men in Philly. So I wanted to take the concept of the Khaki Suit and upgrade it and add my Mylo Blú twist to it. And yeah, I think that was like the one look that I really got a direct inspiration from. But most of the other looks were basically ideas that I've had for a long time that I finally was able to bring to life.
So does this involve a lot of kind of observation of the people around you?
Yeah, yep. It took me to actually be in the culture. I was working on South Street at a clothing store, probably one of the most popular men's streetwear stores in Philly. It's called The Vision, and there I was able to get a lot of information about how men in Philly dress, what they like, what is upcoming trend, what is old trends that people are getting tired of. So it was very much hands-on, and I was able to get direct feedback from shoppers in Philly at South Street.
Great experience, particularly as it's so applicable to what you're doing.
Yes.
Let's see. What materials and techniques did you use in your collection?
So I sourced my materials from one fabric store in New York called Mood Designer Fabrics, and they have very expensive fabrics, very quality fabrics. I Most of what I used is derived from Italy, so the texture and is very quality, and it's the feeling of it and the way it falls is um, definitely hard to find in your average American clothing stores. And techniques that I used were, you know, just learning as I go. Basically, I have made a lot of trial and errors, and everything was done on my industrial single needle and my industrial serger that I have here at home. And this is it right here on this machine. And on this machine is where everything was created for my collection. So everything was handmade by me, and it was just a learning process. May taught me, gave me a good foundation of sewing and pattern making, but to really get my message across, I had to teach myself a lot also.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. I mean, even with what I study, there's a lot of learning that you do outside of the classroom to further your knowledge about different things.
Yeah.
Let's see. Were any of those fabrics something really specific, like a brocade or anything? I was just curious.
For my collection, there is one pair of jeans that I actually have right here. So these jeans are a burgundy Levi's denim that I actually sourced it in San Francisco about 2 years ago because I have a friend that used to work for Levi's in the early 2000s, and when he left, he was able to get a lot of bolts of denim, and this denim is no longer produced in the world at all. And Levi's was the only people that had it, and luckily I was able to buy the last roll of burgundy selvage Japanese denim that he had, and was able to make one pair out of them. And this is basically the most rare pair of pants in my collection because you can't find the fabric ever again, and it's a very strong, well-made pair of jeans. So this in particular was, I think, the fabric that would stand out the most. But all the materials that I used in my collection are rare and very it specifically.
Oh, sorry about that. I was trying to turn off my notifications. I didn't realize it would exit out like that.
No problem.
Let's see. That's really neat, though. I love the color of that denim and the added details. Let's see. Did you collaborate with anybody in this process? I'm just curious.
I did not collaborate with anybody. It was me, my sewing machines, and that is it. I was isolated and very tunnel visioned in on what I needed to accomplish for those, last 2 months before the collection. So while I am open to doing collaborations in the future, this was 100% Isaiah.
Awesome. Do you have any sketches, pictures that you would like to show right now? Or examples of your work that you have in person?
Yeah, so I'm not the biggest sketcher. I do have some sketches here that I do pretty rare. Like, I don't like to sketch too much. It's just how I am. Like, my process of designing is knowing what I want to make and then going to the fabric store, letting the fabric speak to me. And then once I begin cutting out the pattern, I can look and I can add or take away what I want to do. And once that garment is complete, then I might sketch it, because if I sketch it previously, then most likely it will not be the same garment, because I'm always changing something in the middle of making it. So I usually sketch afterwards. But I do have some things in my studio that I could show.
For sure.
And right now I'm working on a women's wear piece, which is my first dress. It's a snakeskin fabric with purple stitching.
Wow.
And a few very neat cuts and slits. And I also have the triangle panel in the front. And as you can see, it's still being made, but it should be completed pretty soon. Another piece that I'm excited for is a puffer jacket right here that I've cut out the pieces for. Wow. And there is my logo.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so the logo was screen printed on, and then I stitched over the screen printing to give it more depth and more of a light embroidery feel. So it looks a little bit 3D, if you see. And here's the other pieces that I have to put together. So that's today's project. And so here's my screen that I use to screen print t-shirts or fabric or whatever it is that I feel necessary. So yeah, it's very much an in-house brand. Everything made and done in this basement. So yeah, sketching isn't the big part of my process, but it's definitely incorporated sometimes.
That's awesome. I really love the detail on the both garments. They're both really neat, and particularly the detail of the embroidery on the of the logo. That's really cool.
Thank you.
So, I know you don't. Sketching isn't your main process, but could you kind of discuss what's in your illustration? And this was for the collection you did with the Made Institute, correct? Or is this a different sketch?
So, this is for the collection. So, actually, the female sketch, it is different. But so this look right here is the Khaki Suit that I was talking about, that I did a play on. And this is them in real life.
Very cool.
So I added embroidery to the side
Wow.
And it goes into the back. Yep. And right there it says, it's almost impossible to read through the camera, but it says, I'm attached to nothing, but I'm connected to everything. Mylo Blú told me substance over hype. And this is the back pocket.
Wow.
Which were customized a little bit different.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yep. And then, give me 1 second, I'll go show you the top piece for it.
It's so cool seeing this end of things. You know, as a writer,
yes.
It's like, what do you show? It's like, well, here's my draft in my horrible handwriting. But, you know, as a designer, you have so many cool things to show.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the top that goes with it.
Neat. Is that a different saying or the same?
Yep. And so there I have the same quote. Yep, same quote here and the same logo with the star in the middle.
That's cool.
Yep. So that is what this sketch is brought to life.
That's great.
Thank you.
Was there any other looks on there that you wanted to discuss as well? On your sketch?
Yeah, so that is my favorite look. I also, of course, do a lot of jeans and bell bottoms. I have these pair of jeans right now that I do get a lot of positive feedback on because of the craftsmanship that went into it. So if you see,
wow,
this
so cool.
continues on.
I love the details. Neat.
Thank you. Yep, and a big detail that I use that you can see that these extend into bell bottom is this zipper web right here at the ankle.
Oh, cool.
Yep, so this will extend pretty wide to give a flared feeling, or I can zip it and give it more of a tapered feeling.
Neat.
So that's a big seller or a big attention grabber for my brand.
Yeah, I can see why. That's really neat. Always good to be able to give. More than one option with your look.
Right, exactly.
So, how would you describe the Made Institute collection aesthetically, and how would you describe the next collection you're working on aesthetically?
Well, I think the first collection was just a great blueprint for how to release a collection, how to get production going, how to give the feeling of your brand through a collection. And it just basically gave me a foundation to grow at a lot of a faster pace than I probably would have without Made Institute. And so basically, of course, the next collection will be better than the first. But the big thing that will be a difference is the visual and the visual element and the choreography of the runway show that will not be traditional, where models walk down the runway, pose, and walk back. A big thing that I would like to do is basically do performance art, even though that term is used very wildly sometimes. I would like it to be more of a play with the models / actors wearing my garments and going through real life scenarios in my clothing, so the viewers can see how they look in life rather than how they look on the runway.
That's great, and it's also it's nice to put the viewers into where your thought process is for where each look could go in their daily lives, because a lot of times
Right.
sometimes we see things on runways and we're like, oh, that's really awesome, but where am I going to wear that, or what purpose am I going to have for it in my own life? That's a great idea.
Right.
Now, what would you like your audience to take away from your collections in general?
That we are connected to everything. And it was very clear, and that's what I wanted them to take away, because I literally wrote it on my pieces, that we are connected to everything but attached to nothing. And to simplify that is basically, in one way or another, everything is the result of something else in this world. So what will bring us together is communicating how we feel and how we express ourselves through our clothing, because most of communication is done without words. So if you want to communicate what you really feel like, the best way to do it is with your clothing. So people that have a more of a artistic maturity to them and want to communicate elegance and a knowledge of the world would be attracted to my clothing because of the different applications from the world that I use in my clothes, and also the message that it portrays to the world of artistic maturity.
Awesome. So, can you just basically explain what the major steps were for, creating your collections? For anyone who doesn't study.
The major steps. The major steps for me was not sleeping. No, I'm kidding. But it was just like real dedication and time management. I gave myself enough time plus extra time, and I ended up really needing that extra time that I gave myself. So, yeah, it basically was just extreme focus and extreme dedication. Like, there's times where an artist will have to go through something like that, where very little sleep, not too much pleasure or fun or like, random stuff that wastes time. There's always a point for that, but there's no way to live like consistently over a long period of time. But what this collection showed me is I really care enough about fashion and what I have working on to sacrifice sleep, money, friends, fun, and since I realized that, it's given me even more motivation, because that wasn't for no reason. So if I'm gonna make all those sacrifices, I gotta keep it going and keep moving up. So that's really what it took, was sacrifice to complete this collection.
And it, pays off in the end. With the
sure does. Yep.
And you can see it too within your work. So it definitely is for something. So.
Thank you.
So, how do you feel your education at the Made Institute impacted your abilities, confidence, or other aspect of your design experience?
So, Made Institute, I would say, brought me from a 10 to a 100. And I learned the basics of sewing before Made Institute. I knew that I wanted to be a designer before Made Institute, but Made just clearly and vividly and quickly gave me everything that I needed to further the skills that I had already acquired. And before Made Institute, sketching was probably my worst. I was probably worst drawer as anybody else, drawing stick figures and random stuff. But Made Institute gave me the guidelines and the knowledge to know how to proportion my sketches correctly to make it look realistic. Um, my sewing skills, like everybody, I feel like has something they really enjoy and they really kind of want to go deeper into once taking classes I made. Because there's Photoshop, Illustrator, sketching, draping, pattern making, sewing, so many different things. Everybody gets all of it, but usually everybody will dive deeper into something. And I dove deeper into sewing and making jeans, and that is what not only helped move forward my brand. I began making jeans and selling them during the pandemic, and was able to profit a good amount and make a good amount of money selling them to my friends on social media. And yeah, Made Institute, I feel like, is the blueprint for how education should be done in the future, not just for fashion, but for any industry. The streamlined focus on a specific trade is, I think, what separates Made from any other school in the country.
Yeah, it's awesome that they really focus in on what you're trying to do for your future, and that's a great thing.
Yes. Yep.
So I have 2 more questions. The one question I have is, what was it like presenting during Philly Fashion Week?
It was an amazing feeling. It was a professional show. It really made me feel like, it really gave me that validation of a real designer. And it gave me a good standard to start with, so I can uphold and move up towards. And it was just an amazing, like, I was smiling for 3 days straight after the runway show, because all the long nights and blood, sweat, and tears that I put into making it, and then watching it under the lights with the music and everybody impressed in the audience, was really what is giving me the motivation to do any of this. Like, that moment is, that 5 minutes is what makes all the years of work worth it.
Definitely, I can imagine, and it's kind of interesting to me because go read from like fashion news and stuff. They'll always talk about, like, where's the value still in having a fashion show, and I absolutely think that, even though there might not be a need to have a fashion show all the time, I do think that they're still needed, because it's a great way to make people aware of a new designer and what they have to offer. And maybe it's not something they have to do constantly, but it's just a way to, like, get the work out there, and I do think there's still value in that.
I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, like you were saying, I mean, just that feeling of after you've debuted it, you can't replace that.
Yeah, you cannot. Never.
So, what are your goals for your brand, and maybe even your future collections or anything of that nature?
Yeah, so my goal is the moon. As far as I can go and as far as I can take it is where I would take it. And so for now, I'm planning on presenting my second collection during Spring Fashion Week, but on a virtual runway platform called Runway 360 by the CFDA. And I was actually able to make a connection with a board member of the CFDA during Fashion Week and the runway show. And then I also have a lot of visuals that I'm planning for the near future. A big part of my brand is performance art and visual films. So I feel like that will be the replacement of runway shows in the future, and hopefully I can be a leader in that transition. And yeah, basically like short film or very short movie like films that are able to incorporate feeling, brand images, lifestyle images, and show some depth to my brand. And I plan to release a new collection for each seasonal um, fashion week, including pre-fall in May. And yeah, women's wear, men's wear, belts, hats, shoes, accessories, jewelry. Um, no, I haven't put a single limit on what I see myself doing.
That's the first sky's the limit, as they say. I really enjoy learning about your brand and what it's like to be on the other side of fashion. And
yes, thank you. I appreciate the interview. It was good to get some of my thoughts out there for the world to understand more instead of just doing it through my clothing. So, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And what I'll do is under the recording, if there's an option to put comments, I'll put your link to your Instagram if you have any other accounts that you want to share, or a website, or links to your work. Feel free to send those to me, and I will post them at the bottom so everybody can see. And stay tuned, everybody, because Isaiah is a designer on the rise, and I look forward to seeing what he has to do and for the future, and see what his classmates have to show for me as well, because I'm interviewing a few of his classmates as well.
Nice. Yep, and I'm looking forward. I wish the best for the blog. I do think it's important for Philly's fashion scene to be shown more. So, good luck with everything, and wherever I can fit in, I'd love to help.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day.
Thank you. You enjoy the rest of your day. Happy holidays.
You too, and take care, everyone. If anybody was tuning in, this will be posted later, so you can check it out if you missed it. And have a good day. Take care.
Bye.